Hello and welcome to our podcast from Prakriti School of Yoga in Dumbravica.
This is how you want to. This is how you want to start.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, God. Okay.
My name is Alexandra and I am a yoga practitioner, and I will be talking today with Avi, meditation teacher and founder of this space.
Welcome to my kitchen.
Hello, Avi. Very nice to see and hear you. Please, if you may introduce yourself a little bit.
I was not expecting you will start with being so formal. I'm Avi. I'm a yoga student. I'm trying to understand yoga for the past several years, and in the process of understanding yoga, I have picked up my curiosity in the other parallel branches of well-being and wellness. Includes Ayurveda, that includes Thai food reflexology, traditional Chinese medicine, psychology, and I try to look at the mind from all these different perspectives and how all these different traditions look at mind. Mind is my muse. That's what I try to understand at its depth.
To understand the mind at its depth. I think we'll circle back to this later because it's a very good starter. But now, if you can tell me, because you've been lived 8 and founded the Prakriti School of Traditional Yoga in Dumbravica. So looking back, who is Avi and what brought you from India to settle down the roots in Romania?
I think who's Avi? It's a very complex answer because, like every other being, we are a multi-layered being, and we are in process of exploration. What I can share on a social platform is, as mentioned earlier, I'm a spiritual aspirant. I try to understand myself better. I try to work on myself, and I also share some of the protocols and the process of well-being and wellness which are rooted in yoga, psychology, Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine with my fellow students. Yeah, this is what I do.
Great to hear. Sounds very interesting. If you could tell me what inspired you to bridge traditional yoga practices with contemporary psychology?
We are looking at the mind as an entity which is maybe million years old. There's a human mind. There is no an archaic mind and a modern mind. Human mind went through its own process of evolution. Over the past 7 to 10,000 years, yoga has offered tools and techniques on how we can look into mind, how we can explore the mind. Modern psychology took certain parts of this classical traditional yogic understanding and structured it to an extent which becomes a little more easier for Western people to understand. And hence, I often swing between the ancient and the modern just to find a right kind of vocabulary to express the understanding of how one can explore the mind. And that's why I do study the Western psychology, and I would recommend anybody to go and flip through certain pages of Western psychology.
So what you are saying is that we did not evolve so much, so rapidly since the ancient times, right? That we are still working on a mind that is very similar to these 1,000 years old.
I love this question. This is exactly the root cause of all our problem. Our evolution took a leap when it's about technology, external technology. Um, we have electricity, we have got into so many gadgets and instruments and stuff. But when we are relating to the mind, we are still very often controlled by the limbic mind, which is this archaic mind, very binary, very often fear driven. And once this fear driven mind gets activated, no amount of wisdom that we gathered, rather, I should not say wisdom, the knowledge that we have gathered through our extensive education in university and colleges goes out of the window, and we end up in suffering. So you see, we are modern being, but suffering an ancient problem, and which is very often fear and stress and anxiety. And we need to figure out how can we tame that archaic aspect of our mind.
When I hear the word fear, I think about amygdala in human brain, uh, that archaic piece of our minds. Uh, do you think that it's appropriate to call it the monkey mind?
Maybe, yeah, we can use definitely the word monkey mind, but it's more the instinctive mind because it went through million years of struggle to survive. Now you and me, we don't have to survive. Just before turning on the camera, we were talking about death, and you said, "Oh, it is so hard to die," right? But if we look back
It
a
is, I
thousand
believe.
years or 2,000 years back, death was breathing just over our shoulder. Dying was easy. Now we do have a condition where we can prolong our longevity, but that fear factor is not gone. It's very much present. It is operating under the carpet. And with a little bit of a challenging situation, it gets activated, and we had to deal with that. We have to deal with that.
Dealing with this strong need for survival and suffering at the same time, what you could say it's your core philosophy. uh, I heard that your yoga school is based on Satyananda ideas. Could you tell us more? Who is this?
Swami Satyananda, he was the disciple of Swami Shivananda. And today, if we look into the yoga across the board, though, even the one who's doing acrobatic yoga or the one who's trying to step into those meditative practices, at some point in their life, they have all leaned into the teachings that was provided by this particular person, Swami Satyananda. There are certain books and methodology like Yoga Nidra, they were formed by this person. He was not the inventor of this person, but he could access the old yogic text and somehow dilute it and water down the practices so it became more appropriate for our modern society. So, Swami Satyananda's contribution to yoga today, we don't even understand the amount of work and his work that is impacting the life of millions across the globe. And I don't say this because he's my guru's guru or I'm in love with him as a, somebody I have admired. This is a reality. This is a fact-based truth. Now, what is Satyananda Yoga? There can be 1,000 different definitions. To understand Satyananda Yoga, we have to understand the core nature of human being, which is we are a fine blend of body, mind, consciousness. We are a multi-layered being. So when you want to experience well-being and nourishment, you cannot go out and nurture only one aspect of it. You have to nurture the totality of it. So Swami Satyananda, he promoted that idea all along his teachings. He even said, like, if you're practicing yoga for an hour, it should have something for your mind, something for your body, something for your emotions, something for your spiritual dimension.
So, idea of holistic approach.
Absolutely.
If I may ask you, how has your experience How has your experience shaped your goal of becoming a dedicated yoga and meditation teacher?
In my personal life, from a very early childhood, I have struggled with dyslexia,
Mhm.
and I have experienced firsthand on my own skin how it feels if your mind is not that supportive. You become a bit of a misfit in the society. So, over the years, as I came in contact with yoga, yoga eventually became kind of a go to practice to find peace and harmony. I understand now, after all these years, that yoga can become a wonderful friend whom we can really rely on in terms of finding answers to some inner turbulences. And hence, I quite naturally became the propagator or the teacher of yoga, which is heavily relying on mental well-being. Mental well-being is something that I try to promote through all my classes, and that's my subject.
So your subject is the wellness of the mind, the integrity of the mind, and your approach is holistic, which is taken after the Satyananda school.
I would use the word is influenced by Swami Satyananda. I won't say it is blindly a copy paste of the teachings of Swami Satyananda. And the reason I say this, it's not because I have created something very different or something on that short, but the teachings of Swami Satyananda is phenomenally vast and it's so pure. I prefer to say that I'm inspired by his teaching rather than a brand ambassador or carrying forward his knowledge. There are, as per my opinion, there are only a handful of pure Satyananda Yoga teacher across the globe. There are many of the Satyananda Yoga teacher are have modulated his teachings as per their own understanding, and which I find is okay because yoga is an evolving science all throughout.
Yes, once you told me what was written above the entrance to your ashram that
Yeah,
you learned.
yeah. It is the Shivananda Ashram in Kerala. It said adjust, adapt, accommodate. Those are the three words, the teachings of Swami Shivananda, and these three words remained with me all throughout. And I think these are the three pillars, the tripod on which today the yoga is standing. Yoga is an ancient science and in the same time is very contemporary. Just because it has learned how to adjust, adapt, and accommodate the need of the modern people.
So based on these pillars, how lessons with you look like? How you structure your teachings? What somebody may expect showing up to your class?
Beautiful question. The answer will vary based on the kind of classes that I'm offering. If it is a one-on-one yoga therapy session, it is always and always based on the requirement of the person. Every person has a very different need. Some need more attention on their mind, some need a very deep relaxation of their energetic body, and I will modulate the class accordingly. One said that a generic yoga class, which is a very good entry point for anybody who want to experience a certain amount of wholesomeness, they will experience certain amount of postures, even in a 1 hour class, blended with the mantras to awaken certain kind of energy, to channel certain kind of energies within the body. We will practice breathing techniques like pranayamas or prana nigraha, the observation of the pranic flow within the body. And pretty much all the classes ends with a deep restful introversion practices known as pratyahara. And if all these four aspects are practiced, the usual outcome is a return to our home. We start feeling connected, bonded with ourselves.
For listeners who might be unfamiliar with what that is, what is a mantra, from where it comes from, and what it is used for?
The classical definition of mantra would be mannatrayatiti mantra, meaning by repetition of which your mind gets liberated. Our mind is very sticky, it's like a Velcro. So, throughout the day, as we expose the mind to the exterior world, all the sensory impressions that we are going through, a lot of them will stick to the mind and they will remain there. So, at the end of the day, we need certain kind of an housekeeping for our mind. Otherwise, the next day we are gonna start the day with a mind which is very contaminated by the previous experience. Now, mantras are those sounds by repeating we create a sacred healing space between the content of the mind and the one who's watching the mind. If mantras are practiced with the right amount of intention and presence, they also create certain kind of awakening or the free flow of energy that is anywhere destined in each and every human being. So it will be safe to say mantras are the practice of yoga of sound, which at the beginning brings mental peace. We learn how to observe the content of the mind, and eventually uh, an awakening of energy takes place by following this particular branch of yoga, which is mantra yoga.
I really like this term as housekeeping of the mind. I think it shows explicitly what this is supposed to do. But if you could tell me, how do you treat the practitioner as a whole person rather than just focusing on the practice itself, on the exercises?
You know, there's a saying called when you hold a hammer in your hand, you see nails everywhere. I come from a background of not workout. I haven't done workout. I was never a Pilates teacher. I was never a gym instructor. I never went through this 100 hours, 200 hours of teachers training program, which teaches you fitness based yogic tradition. My tradition originated from Ramakrishna order, which eventually became the Satyananda Yoga tradition. And all of this tradition is about blending yoga as a lifestyle, yoga as a holistic way of looking at body, mind, and consciousness. Because I was exposed to this tradition, when I try to teach yoga, it naturally becomes a reflection of the teachings that I have received. So it's not that I wish to teach this. If I was taught fitness, most likely today you would find me in a gym teaching you plank pose and stay there for God knows when.
So you say you leverage diverse background in psychology and therapy, not in fitness, but in spiritual practice.
I would say so.
How does this understanding of the modern mind help you guide people through inner challenges and blocks?
There's a big difference between a mind which is originating in a Eastern people and the mind of a Westerner. Eastern mind is more spinning around devotion and surrender. Western mind has evolved around logic and rational understanding. I work mostly with the Westerners. So if I want somebody to do any practice which is mind body consciousness based, I know one thing: if I'm not able to convince them rationally and intellectually give them an explanation of why they are doing what they're doing, the dropout rate from the class or from the yoga therapy session will be extremely high. So people want to understand the problem first before they can commit for certain hours of practice. Now, once said that, I would have applied a very different approach when I worked in Hong Kong or in Asia. People simply surrender there. So all you need to say is, do this, and the result will speak by itself. This is not the case here in the West, so hence I have to address to the rational mind very often.
Well, people often struggle with rigid practices. How do you create individually tailored solutions to blend contemporary methods with traditional wisdom?
By adding playfulness. By adding playfulness. In the same manner, a grandparent blends his or her wisdom with the grandkids of 5 years old. Here, the ancient wisdom of yoga can blend in to a mind which is rational, which is having short attention span. And the answer is the playfulness. If you are playful, you can pass on deep wisdom, you can experience deep wisdom, just being more fluid. Having an open, joyful space within and around always becomes a safe space to learn, to dive, and to understand oneself.
So, to distill it a little bit, we are teaching minds how to feel joy.
I would say I do teach people to how to feel comfortable within their insecurities, to feel comfortable in not knowing, to feel safe in experiencing and expressing disturbing emotions, anger, hate, jealousy, passion. A lot many such emotions are negated by many religious thoughts and beliefs and purity and understanding. I do deeply believe they are part of us and we have to experience and express them.
All of them.
Preferably, all of them, preferably in a controlled manner, preferably trying not to hurt somebody. But yes, they are part of human expression and we need to remain human. The challenge is, I know you didn't ask me this question, but I would say this, the challenge of our modern time is we are trying to be divine without trying to become human at first. We have to learn how to be human. Human means the totality. There will be certain disturbing aspect of human nature because we are evolving animals with the glimpse of higher self where we are aspiring to embody certain divine qualities as well. And we have to learn how to maintain the polarity of these two opposites.
Learning how to become human first. Based on this, how would you describe the benefits from practicing under your guidance?
It's not important to practice under my guidance. I would rather replace the word with under certain kind of approach of yoga. If yoga is understood with a certain kind of mental clarity and intentional presence, the outcome is deeper. One thing I can definitely say that I don't teach fitness yoga, neither I recommend anybody to practice fitness yoga. Once said that, I recommend everybody to do some cardio, everybody should practice weight training, everybody should do endurance training and everything. Yes, they are very important in life. But I don't subscribe to the idea that people should look for endurance training and fitness training in yoga. Yoga was a spiritual science. And yoga is and yoga will remain a spiritual science.
Yoga as a spiritual science. For someone listening who feels overwhelmed by modern life, what is one simple daily habit that they can start today? Maybe they can build something on this spiritual science you mentioned?
By far, I'm not the right person to answer to this because I myself is struggling uh, in embracing the totality of humanness many times a day in the different phases of my life. But I think if you insist, my answer will be to remind oneself that we are human. Such a relief to be a human. Can you imagine if you don't have to act and perform like a divine entity?
It gives you so much freedom.
It gives you the freedom. You don't curse yourself for getting angry. You don't curse yourself to feeling the passion. You don't curse yourself to feel envy. And you finally say, okay, because I'm human, I am entitled to experience these emotions. And that becomes the first most important step for transformation.
And maybe rounding up around transformation, uh, because your school is creating a community around itself. So, what would you say? What's the vision and mission of your school and the community around it?
I think we need like minded people. There's an immense power in rubbing our shoulder with like minded people. In the dark hours, they become the support system. Today, the structure of the family has changed drastically. It's no more me and my parents. My family means me and the people I look up to in the social media, the people I go out and I socialize with, the people from the gym, people from the yoga studio, people from my work. So these are multi-layered clusters of tribal thing. We are very tribal at core, the human beings. Now we need to pick a tribe which can help us to experience the our authentic self. And this is what I would recommend anybody from the tribe of the Prakriti School of Yoga. Satyananda Yoga is a lot about embracing the totality. So why not we try creating that? And I will not use the word, it is my tribe. No, it doesn't need to be. Exclude me. But find people with whom you can be authentic and spin around that. When you find a good person, stick to them. This will be the one thing I'd say.
Housekeeping of the mind resulting in authenticity. Thank you, Avi, for the talk.
Sure.
It was very rich in inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you, Alexandra.